On a dusty road out beyond the pyramids, where the desert light falls soft and golden, there is a quiet hall where the ancient art of the loom still lives. Inside, great wooden frames rise from floor to ceiling, strung tight with thousands of fine threads in silk and wool and cotton, and half-finished carpets bloom across them like gardens caught mid-growth. It is a place where patience becomes color, and time itself is tied, knot by tiny knot, into something beautiful. Here the old craft of Egypt hums on, far from the noise of the world. Welcome to the Carpet School. We are in the open country south of Cairo, on the desert road that runs past the Great Pyramids of Giza and on toward the ancient burial fields of Saqqara. This is a land of long horizons, of pale sand and palm groves, where the modern highway threads between monuments raised 5,000 years ago. Amid the workshops and roadside halls that line this route, the weavers keep their looms, carrying forward a craft as old as the civilization around them. Step inside and the air changes. The hall is cool and shadowed, lit by shafts of sun that catch the drifting fibers in the air. Along the walls stand rows of tall looms, each one a wooden framework holding a carpet in the making, and everywhere there is the soft luster of thread. Finished pieces hang in layered rows, and rolls of wool and silk wait in bright heaps. It is a working place, humble and warm, given entirely to the slow making of beauty by hand. At the heart of the craft stands the loom itself, a great upright frame taller than a person, strung from top to bottom with taut vertical threads. These threads, the warp, form the hidden skeleton of every carpet, the foundation onto which the pattern will be built. Row by row the design climbs slowly upward, and the finished carpet is rolled down out of sight below. To stand before one of these looms is to face a wall of pure potential, waiting to be filled. Everything begins with the thread. Cotton, strong and steady, is spun into the warp and weft that give a carpet its frame. Wool, soft and warm, forms the plush pile of the heavier rugs, taking dye deeply and wearing for generations. And silk, finest of all, is spun into threads so delicate they shimmer, allowing knots so small that a single carpet may hold a fortune of patient hours. Each fiber has its nature, and the weaver knows them all. The magic of the carpet lies in the knot. One by one, the weaver loops a short length of colored thread around the warp and draws it tight, then trims it and moves on to the next, and the next, and the next. A fine silk carpet may hold 1,000,000 knots or more, each one placed by hand, each one a single point of color. Nothing is painted and nothing is printed. The entire image is built from countless tiny knots, tied with a patience that borders on devotion. Slowly from the bottom of the loom upward the pattern emerges. Where there was only bare warp, a border appears, then the first hints of a flower, a curl of vine, a field of deep color. The weaver follows a design held in memory or sketched on a paper guide, choosing each thread by hand, and the picture rises row by row like a tide of color. What takes months to complete reveals itself an inch at a time, a small miracle of accumulated care. Many of the carpets carry the memory of ancient Egypt woven into their design. Across their fields march the graceful figures of pharaonic art, the profiles and lotus blossoms and winged suns drawn from temple walls and tomb paintings. Here the imagery of a civilization thousands of years old is reborn in thread, so that the old gods and kings gaze out once more from carpets destined for distant homes. The craft binds the deep past to the present in a single hand-made object. Other carpets bloom with gardens. Woven vines and blossoms spread across a rich ground, framed by flowing borders, a whole paradise of flowers captured in wool and silk. Beside them lie carpets of pure geometry, endless interlocking stars and medallions and lattices that draw the eye inward without ever coming to rest. Each design follows rules refined over centuries, a language of symmetry and balance in which every motif has its place and its meaning. The tradition of the fine knotted carpet reaches far beyond Egypt, and its designs carry echoes of many lands. From the great weaving centers of Persia came the flowing medallions and intricate floral borders that spread across the whole region, and Egyptian workshops took them up and made them their own. What hangs on these looms is a meeting of worlds, the ornament of Persia, the imagery of the Pharaohs, and the skilled hands of Egypt, gathered into one enduring craft. The colors themselves come from the earth. For centuries the weavers have drawn their dyes from natural things, deep reds from the madder root and the tiny insect, warm yellows from flowers and spices, blues from the indigo plant, browns and blacks from nuts and bark. The raw thread is bathed in great vats and hung to dry, emerging in glowing hanks of color. These natural dyes age gracefully, softening over the years into the mellow, living hues that give an old carpet its quiet glow. The most precious carpets are woven entirely of silk. Held one way they glow with deep color, and tilted toward the light they shimmer and change, the whole surface seeming to shift like water. Because silk allows the very finest knots, these carpets carry the most intricate designs of all delicate scenes and patterns of astonishing detail. Light and supple, dense with knots beyond counting, a silk carpet is the highest expression of the weaver art, a treasure meant to last for generations. The making of woven cloth in Egypt is older than memory. Along the banks of the Nile, thousands of years ago, people spun flax and wove fine linen on simple looms, wrapping their dead and clothing their living in cloth of remarkable skill. Fragments of that ancient weaving still survive, buried in the dry sands beside the pyramids we passed on the road. The loom in this quiet hall is a distant descendant of those first frames, one link in an unbroken chain reaching back to the dawn of the craft. Such skill is not learned quickly. It passes slowly from one generation to the next, hand teaching hand, a knowledge of thread and knot and pattern that cannot be found in any book. Young apprentices begin with the simplest rows and, over years, grow into masters who can hold an entire complex design in mind. In this way, the craft stays alive, not as a museum piece but as a living tradition, carried forward by each new pair of hands that learns to tie the knot. At the end of the long labor, the carpets come down from the looms and are unrolled at last in their full glory. Hung in bright rows across the hall, they glow in reds and blues and golds, gardens and geometry and ancient scenes spread open to the light. Each one holds the memory of the hands that made it, the months of patience, the thousands upon thousands of knots. To walk among them is to walk through a gallery of pure devotion, every thread placed with care. A quiet hall on the road past the pyramids, great looms strung with silk and wool, and carpets rising knot by patient knot into gardens and ancient scenes, the old craft of Egypt carried gently into another day. Thank you for watching. Follow for more interesting people, places, and things we cover on the channel.